A lot happening, and we continue with it, and we'll get into it as we can. We're getting into another conversation this hour, and our live streams are up on Facebook, YouTube, and on X, and we continue with our audience on KTN. All right, and as we get into that conversation, two gentlemen join us in the Situation Room this morning, and even as we continue with this conversation. One of them has been here before. We're going to be looking at new technologies and how they could possibly, move things in the next general election. And even as we do discuss those things one to the other, as we said, two gentlemen join us. Ambassador John C.W. Is a governance expert and blockchain analyst, as well as a pastor, and he's here with us this morning. Ambassador, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Very well.
Thank you for giving us another opportunity to be here.
Thank you for being here. It's always good to see you, and we're going to be looking at some of these things, and it's great to be able to have your voice on that. Peter Kibaki is also here. He's a colleague and also an expert in his own right in terms of some of these technologies that we speak of this morning. Peter, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. You're in the hot seats of the Situation Room, and we're very glad to have you here this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
As we normally do, we're going to welcome you with today's proverb. Aseta will tell you where that's from. We'd love to get your interpretation of it.
Our proverb today comes from Liberia, a country that in the continent is the first country to get independence. It is formed by the slaves, mostly assisted by the United States of America. The capital, Monrovia, is named after former American President John Monroe. Right? But let's go to the proverb. You cannot climb two trees at the same time. You cannot climb two trees at the same time. Mr. Kibaki, how would you interpret that?
Definitely, I think the proverb speaks for itself. You'll need to first climb one, reach at the top, achieve the goal, and then probably come down, then climb another one at another time. Mm-hmm. So how, according to my own understanding, is that you know, in the journey of life, when you want to achieve something, you have to first pick one, achieve it, push it, achieve it, and then later on pick another one, achieve it, pick another one, achieve it. So that's, I think, my little interpretation, but I know Mwalimu has probably some more insight.
Yeah. Ambassador, how would you interpret it?
Well, I wouldn't say more insight. I'm just looking at it from a scriptural point of view. The Bible says you can't serve two masters at the same time. So I think for me, the concept of climbing has something to do with strength and might and using your energy. So it's needful for us to understand that if we are going to serve effectively, we need to be, the Bible says a double-minded man is unstable. So if you climb two trees at the same time, it's a concept of being double-minded. So to serve in one purpose and serve it well is my perspective of looking at the whole matter.
Wow.
Yeah. Well interpreted. Well
Indeed.
said.
To serve in one purpose and to serve it well is important. All right. So, looking at technologies and what it does for us to be able to move from one place to another when it comes to things that we would otherwise see as manual, as mundane. But technology has come and it has turned the world on its head. That you could be at the North Pole and you could influence or dictate what happens in your home just by looking at a screen. That's what technology has done. And in so many leaps and bounds and things that sometimes we're not able to fathom. And of course, with AI technology and looking at things like blockchain, which some of us don't even know how to spell blockchain, but I guess that's how we're getting into that conversation this morning. So talk us through, and let's start with you, Ambassador, some of the things that we're looking at that could essentially, that have influenced the way in which we operate, that could essentially influence how we vote.
Let's begin by looking at it. I was studying the other day about the first plane that was ever made, and the kind of charade that was around the whole system, where people felt it's not possible, only birds can fly. I mean, today, I'm sure that in this room, not that it's a big issue, but we have become birds at some point, and we have flown. Look at it from cars. I mean, there was a time we used to use chariots. Eventually now, the whole system of cars came up. People thought it can't be possible. Now we have that. Same concept is applying to technology. A few years back, I remember when the whole concept of Mpesa started, a lot of people could not comprehend, and it looked as though that it was not necessarily intelligent enough to explain to people how a phone can be able to keep your money, or rather do transactions. Today, we have the first mobile network globally. I mean, people are coming to pitch in terms of how to do transactions using the Kenyan payment system in terms of Mpesa. So if you look at it from that point of view, this is my perspective. Looking at where the country is going, or rather the world is going, a dam is a water mass, a body water mass, a river also, and an ocean. You can easily change the direction of the dam. Maybe a river you might, because looking at it. But when it comes to an ocean, these are facts that cannot change. Change cannot change. The fact that the world is changing cannot change. So even if we try to ignore where technology is heading us to, where ideas are heading us to, eventually speaking, we will be able to do that. We were just discussing about the new law that has been passed into bill in terms of crypto. I don't know if you're aware that Parliament has passed the whole system. The other day, what does that mean? It simply means that you don't necessarily need to be limited by the bank in terms of bulk transaction. I have a friend of mine that wanted to do a very huge construction of an estate company, and when the resources were sent, they were bothered so much. Now you can imagine looking at it from a crypto point of view. I mean, giving you 5 billion will just take a second. Pop, money is on your side. It's easier now to do transactional things by looking at that point of view. So my point of view is this. Looking at it from the technology aspect, it is changing to our good. It makes the world easier. It makes transactions easier. It makes more connections to different parts of the world and things like that. So we are expecting to see a superior, not a decline, but a superior trajectory towards the higher side, looking at what we can be able to do with technology. Yeah.
When you look at, when you talk about technology, and before we go to the main key issue here of elections, for the longest time, I don't know whether it's our policies as a country. The focus has always been, okay, let's try create employment. Let's try create opportunities, especially for young people, because when you talk about technology, it's more often than not connected to young people. And so the vibe is always, let's create jobs for young people. And yesterday we were talking, the assumption always is, okay, when you talk about all these funds that the government keeps coming up with, from the youth, the Hustler Fund, now Nyota Fund, all these funds, if you listen to the conversation, they're around empowering young people with skills. But when you look at those skills, it's more of mtu boda boda. It is, if it's affordable housing, ni about mambo ya mjengo. If we talk about car wash, so it's buying tanks for the young men to do their car washing business. It's always the old way of looking at things. And the question we were asking from yesterday is, what happens within this digital space that is forever expanding? A few years, not too long ago, we only were talking about ChatGPT when we started having AI conversations. Today, you can actually easily get lost. It's almost like every 1 hour there's something new that has come up that is connected to artificial intelligence. So we're talking about technology, and it's connected to a lot of young people. And the way we consume technology is, in many regards, is mostly for entertainment purposes. Is we want to use apps that will entertain us, things that will make maybe our work easier, but we don't then think through the technology in terms of what it will help us into the future and how it will then create efficiency into the future. And we don't get enough traction, especially from the government side. Is it a problem? Is it a Kenyan problem, an African problem? Is it a generational problem?
It is a problem of lack of sight. This is what I mean. Yesterday I was studying the NVIDIA, the company called NVIDIA.
Yeah.
So there is a whole issue with the US, I think and China in terms of the chips, right? So when Biden was in power, Biden minimized the amount of chips that China is able to buy.
Yeah.
Of course, because at that particular time, America had advanced in their technology of building those chips. So during the leadership of Biden, they saw that those chips, because NVIDIA at that particular time were created, their high possible tech chips that were ever recorded globally. So America saw that it was a risk to sell this kind of chips to China because we are going to use it, to create technologies that might, be of harm to them. That's according to them.
Or outpace them.
Exactly, outpace them.
Yeah.
So what did Biden do in his era? Biden decided to sit down with them and create a chip that is a little bit lower, still good, but it did not have the same efficiency as the chip. And these are the chips that were now sold to China. So Trump comes in, and then Trump says that even those chips, cut them off, which were running into billions of dollars. And we know that, NVIDIA has been doing its best to make sure that, trying to talk to Trump to allow these chips. So why am I saying that? So in that whole commotion of, Trump coming in and even cutting all the chips, China now used that opportunity to develop new chips that were actually very much competitive and even superior to what NVIDIA at that particular time were bringing to the table. The reason is this. China is where it is because of its ability to live tomorrow. When I look at the way the African concept of advancing people is carved around, it is carved around politics. There is a difference between leadership and politics. Leadership outlasts the leader. Politics needs the leader to stay alive. So when you look at someone like in Africa, for example, and I've been to Nigeria and things like that, you see a whole governor coming and giving, in Nigeria they call them keke, which here we call them what? Tuk-tuks, right? I'm not, and please I want the viewers to understand, because some people just argue we are not talking about Mama Mboga or Boda Boda Rider. We are talking about where Kenya is going. And Kenya cannot, he was speaking right now that there is a company in Kibera that is tokenizing Mama Mboga. Are you aware? Tokenizing, the whole concept of tokenize, we'll explain that a little bit later, where Mama Mboga can, like you can tokenize your business. Let's say your business is worth 5,000, you tokenize your business so that someone owns 1,000 of your business, they bring in investment to that level. It's already happening in Kibera, tokenizing. We'll explain that a little bit later.
Is it some shareholding?
It's something concerning shareholding, which he'll explain better. So the whole concept is that the way I look at the way what we tend to make it look as if it's progress for our nation is actually centered around who's coming next into power. It's not necessarily centered around where is Kenya going, because even if Kenya does not go, the world is already going there. Even if Kenya is left behind, we will continue being a third world nation. And I've seen a lot of people, looking at nations like Singapore, trying to say that we want Kenya to be like Singapore. Did Singapore give more borders? That's the question we need to ask. Did Singapore give more,
water tanks?
Water tanks. Did Singapore give more car wash? In order for you to be a Singapore, there has to be a bullseye. In order to take a nation to look like that first world nation, it's not bad to advance this particular thing, but advance superior things. The government cannot say you have, for example, 7 billion or 12 billion or 2 billion to empower the youth. The question is, what do the youth need at this particular point of view? So it's not wrong to have like 20% things to do with human labor, but have the biggest percentage of them centered around things that can be able to make a nation a superpower. And if you look at it from a point of a water tank cannot make a nation a superpower. A car wash cannot make a nation a superpower. And if you look at it from the AI system, I was reading the other day, in the next 4 years, 3 to 4 years, AI is going to guarantee the next set of the most millionaires, more than any internet in any 20 or 30 years. So the question should be, should we invest in what is actually making more millionaires in the shortest period of time, or just politicize this whole concept with things that we know can make me come back into power the next day?
When you talk about technology, AI, blockchain, this is a sector that has been tried and tested in other jurisdictions, and you've seen that it is working.
Right.
But when you come back home, like you said, we have politicized the entire debate, yet we know what it is we need to do.
Yes.
Which then brings us to the point where, is it by design, or is it a question of we do not have the resources to?
No, we do have the resources. Do you know, the other day I sat with a leader in the nation, and he guaranteed me, I won't say who, that Kenya borrows 3.5 billion approximately a day.
From the domestic market?
3.5 billion from the global market. 3.5 billion shillings is borrowed a day. Then you remember in Uhuru's government, he came out and said 2 billion is lost a day, which right now actually the CAB is 3.9 or 3.7 billion is lost a day. It's not a function of what we don't have. It's just a function of people. You know, I sat with someone and he told me, if we are all rich, who will serve the rich? So this is an African issue. It's not necessarily even just a Kenyan issue. It's a way to keep someone where you are so that some of us can keep advancing, because technology is free people. For example, if right now you remember, assuming you don't have Mpesa, can you imagine the queue that will be on the banks?
Yes.
How much money the banks will be making? So the question we should ask, how much are the banks losing because Mpesa is available? Even though Mpesa to some degree is adding to it, but if you would ask, maybe most banking sectors would not want Mpesa completely, so that we can receive more queues back, and if we receive more queues back, we receive more transactions,
more money,
we receive more money for the bank. So this is the same thing that is happening.
There was a time when you're doing an ATM withdrawal, it was 40 shillings per withdrawal.
Per withdrawal,
whatever amount, right?
You're withdrawing. So you're seeing less and less of ATMs now.
You know why?
Saying, mobile
because technology always makes sure that old things are phased out. And if you phase out old ideas, you have a new breed of people coming up that you can no longer control with your foolishness.
Okay.
And this is the problem of Africa.
And how this? You know, we could do this for days because I'm drinking that water as well. Right. How would it affect how we vote, how we make a decision? Because for the longest time, there are people today who still use pebbles to cast their vote.
Right.
It happens today. The heavy paper elections are still a thing, especially on the continent. This technology that we're saying must be the direction in which we are going for the economy. Is it also the direction that we would be going, Peter, when it then comes to how we vote, for it to be foolproof, so that this thing that we hear people saying that, well, they're going to rig the election anyway, and they're going to find a way to do it, so why should I register to vote? Do we see that maybe those lines would be falling here as well?
I think in my little opinion, I think in this era things are changing, and things will continue changing. And as you know, as my senior stated, change is inevitable. So we cannot continue doing what used to work and expect better result. You know, what used to fail us and expect a different result. You know, when you're doing the same thing again and again and again and again and expecting a different result is actually more of I'll use that word foolishness. Is actually more of it when we are expecting better results. So in one way or the other, we'll need to come back here, you know, to use these different solutions. And that's why I think with the vision, I've sat down with my senior. Just allow me to call him my senior, because indeed he is. I've sat down with him and I've investigated the vision. Before I came under his guide, I sat down and analyzed for years, actually for over 3 years, because I was always this crazy dreamer. Why are we using paper ballots? Yet we can be able to digitize this. What's the problem? We have investigated all those issues, and we have realized that the problem now narrows down to two things. We are looking at what IBC, like the elephant in the IBC's room, which was confirmed some few days ago by the commissioners, is the security of the vote and the security of people's data. So if that's the elephant in the room, why don't we embrace technology to be able to secure that? Because if we secure the voters' data, and if we are able to secure the vote, it means that we've killed the election malpractice, not only in Kenya, in Africa, and we will be in a position. You know, it's like an ocean. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, I was having a conversation with my mother, and I was actually telling my mother, I just threw this challenge, and I told my mom, do you know one day I'll become a president? And then he was like, you'll be a president in your own house. And so it means she has a view. There is a mentality that she has, that because I come from a low, a humble background, It's impossible to get there without some level of resources and all that. But you see, we are now changing the narrative, because if we have a vision, just like my senior said, if we have a vision, if a leader has a vision for this country, it means we can now come in and people can now be able to vote for them without fear of malpractice, without threats, you know.
Because of the technology?
Yeah, because of technology. Nobody is threatening you when you're voting in your house. Who is threatening you when you're voting in your house? You know, we've seen all kinds of evil. People making lines and then, you know, hands out. You've seen those things. They're happening in our country. Hands out during elections.
Yeah.
Vote for this one. Vote for this one. You know, we are talking of an end to, we are going against something. We're talking of a totally new revolution. If we were to adopt technology to be able to scrap off this. We've seen people who will reason that where will be the jobs, you know, like we were having a conversation last time that imagine the education budget for voter education. Imagine just having an AI system that is just teaching you and you can be able to converse with it and it can be able to educate you everything that you need to know.
We saw during the finance bill last year, before the protests, a lot of civic education going around. And on TikTok, young people actually interpreting the finance bill in Kikuyu, in Kamba. People are using AI to explain to their grandmothers and to their mothers what is this finance bill in very simple language. And it was very, at a touch of a button, it can give you 50 languages. A whole interpretation. That's how powerful it is. I totally agree with you. But my question is this: with change comes resistance. There was a time, and I'll speak for ourselves. There was a time when we were told, you know what, you big sisters, we are going digital, and the big sisters decided, you know what, we are not. And there was a protest that, you know, and when I'm referring to the big sisters, the big mainstream media houses were saying, you know, no, this is not going to work. There are a lot of conversations around it, but not to belabor the point. At the end of the day, it was pushed. And the big cake, which was which had 4 slices, 5 slices, all of a sudden now had 56 slices, for example. So at that point then, there was resistance to that change, but it was inevitable. For what you are doing and where we are going, when we're talking about matters of elections, for example, we know Kenya holds one of the most expensive elections in the world. The cost per voter, last time we checked, was 2,000 shillings.
800 and something.
Which is way up and above what even the UK spends, even what the US spends. And we made comparisons with India. How do they do their elections? They print their own ink. They do everything from within. We import nearly everything, by the way. They use their civil servants to go to these different centers, and these are government workers. So you're not getting any extra payment. You are just, as long as you're working for government, you'll be posted, go to
your job.
Go to Lodwar, this is what you're going to do. In Kenya, it's different. So there's hiring that goes around this, and there's budget. When you're looking at election, why did you decide then to think technology and connect it to the elections?
Okay, so let's begin because of time. So let's begin this way. First of all, I'm a pastor. I have, and I say this with all humility, I have thousands of people that listen to me, specifically even that come to church. We have so many people in our church. So I participated in the coming into power of this government. That one, I mean, the last time I was here, we made it clear. The reason is because of this. At that particular time we participated, it was clear. Part of the things that we were looking at was end corruption, specific things, give an opportunity to the youths. I remember I was part of the youth charter, by the way. You know, there was actually a youth charter that was created. Beautiful kind of things that were supposed to have happened. Unfortunately, we did not have a plan for tanks, water tanks. You know, our plan was to advance our young people to be able to take up leadership tomorrow. Long story short, so I saw how the whole electoral system looked like. I mean, how power transfer, all those kind of things were looking like. Then now we fast forward it to now this particular time. You remember that particular time, looking at it from previous elections, 2007, we forgot we were Kenyans, and then we started becoming tribal and things like that, and all those things. And we moved it to now Ruto's time, President Ruto's time, which remember we went and did a re-election, right? Now the re-election costed us money. Remember, we have bloodshed, we have re-elections, we have more spending of bigger budgets. Yet Kenya is, is like a county, or rather a county in America, one state in America. So looking at it from that point of view, I sat down to myself and I said, okay, we to some people we've brought the problem. How do we bring a solution? So the solution was to look for like-minded people in the church. And then we started a program called State of the Nation. I would address the program and things like that. Then we brought people together and we started building. I sat down with them and I asked them, so what can we do? There's actually one of them called Jesse. What can we do to make sure that we don't have bloodshed? Underline the underlining word that we are looking at. It's not about even money or whatever. We don't want the same bloodshed in 2007. Number two, we don't want votes to be stolen. And number three, we would not want a re-election because, again, it's cutting into the budget of the nation. So we built this system. We presented the system just randomly. Then all of a sudden, the Canadian High Commission saw it. The representative of the Canadian High Commission, so they reached out to us. Is the reason because of the Kim's kit. They are so much involved in I think you are aware, the funding of the Kenyan election. So definitely they are looking at ways to cut anything that can cut cost. Makes a lot of sense. So we sit down with this individual, then all of a sudden we are presented before the IEBC last week on Tuesday. So the chair of IEBC is there, the commissioners of IEBC is there, the legal team of the IEBC is there, Canadian High Commission is there, UNDP is there, and we are now cracking the elephant in the room, and it was only one thing. And in my presentation, long story short, the problem that we have in the IEBC system is a trust issue. The foundation of IEBC is just one word: can Kenyans trust you? And that's what we are presenting. So the system that we built offers a deeper layer of trust compared to any other way of voting that has ever been in Kenya, need I say in Africa and globally to the world. So we built this system, then we now presented the whole system, which maybe we might show you a little demo because the system is almost done. We showed people how to do the elections, how to vote, and then someone would ask, what about an elderly woman out there? We'll show you even the AI system we have built that speaks your language, that you don't even necessarily need to talk all these things. So we built this system, long story short. Set up this system for two particular reasons. Number one, you've spoken about 2,000 shillings be the amount of money that an individual voter under the old system. Our system is 36 bob. Number two, you need to understand that people that are coming into power, or necessarily, there are people that benefit from elections, procurement, all those kind of things. So definitely they would not like that approach. Ours is basically like a gas fees and looking at things like that. It is cheaper because when we looked at the amount of money that John Buddy was looking at presenting, which is 61.7 billion, you can imagine what our system is looking at. So we are giving Kenyans an opportunity to go into the future, not necessarily to say who else has done it. Why do we need to wait for someone else to do it as Africa in order for us to do something? Okay, and that person we are waiting for, who are they waiting for? And then that person they are waiting for, so there will always be someone that is willing to do something. We built a system that guarantees all these kind of things are in place, and I'm requesting Kenyans to have a look at it because it hasn't been presented now. It is the second portion of view is to make sure that the members of parliament are looking at it. That's now the platform that we are on right now, so that it can be brought as a motion. If discussed with several of them, bring it as a motion in the table of the House. Let us look at it. And if a member of parliament says no, because actually technology is part of Article 81, we've read it. It is allowed in voting, and Article 83 of the Constitution. What we are doing is not something Gen Zs are just overthinking. No, it is within the Constitution. We are telling the government, members of parliament, have a look at this. And if you say no, you will need to tell the Kenyans what is the real reason you are saying no to something from 2,000 to 36 shillings.
Okay, so it's a big deal, obviously, what we're talking about here, because one of the major issues is that to make an election, to make the cost of participating in an election so expensive that there are some things that are being hidden. There's some hidden costs there. There's already budgeted corruption. That has been the thought in people's minds. So what you're saying is that with help from an external party, which you've already established by your own admission, partners come in, funded the thing, that you can vote with technology in the comfort of your home.
Of your house, using your phone.
Using your phone, you can vote, and it can be verified, transmitted to one center where people then will be able to make an announcement or make a prediction.
Completely.
For 36 shillings per Kenyan.
On a platform called a decentralized platform, which means you can be able to see you voted. Forget now what the IBC is telling you. You can be able to see, after you have voted on this system, you can literally enter and see my vote counted. So it means another thing, you see the way the IBC takes like 3 days to look. When the voting starts at, let's say the voting starts at 6 a.m. today in the morning and it closes at 6 p.m. Immediately the voting closes, we know the leaders of the nation. That's how efficient the system we are building is. So there is no way of hacking. And those of you that are saying people will steal, go and study blockchain. In order for you to understand what is a blockchain system, you will know it can never be hacked, or rather it has never been hacked.
If that can be figured out, why is it then that an independent electoral and boundaries commission would not have been able to, with the help of government and its partners, figure something like this out all this time? Why? Even with developing technologies?
I think I have an answer to that. I've been in the tech space actively for not long, but for 4 years, actively. And with actively means in the blockchain space, in the new technology space, that is blockchain, AI space. By the grace of God, I would say I've participated in most of these projects. The Huduma Number project, my team, I have a team. He is our patron. But now what happens, the structure is this: he is the patron, but we have heads of teams, and then those heads of teams, they command, is like in the Bible, you know, the commander of 1,000. Then there is there is that kind of an arrangement. So I lead a team. So part of my team members have participated in, of course, with me as the lead. So what happens is that we go get a project, then we bring it on the table, and then we are able to do it. You remember when there was this conversation of Huduma Number? Huduma Number. So
it was not a conversation. We were forced to get
actually
I carried my documents to some G place. My document.
I have my Huduma number, Huduma card.
So did you use it?
Yeah.
So that one, people actually got Huduma Number. The whole project was sabotaged. It was all a question of data. So we brought in a proposal. Why don't we digitize how data is acquired? And there was this conversation of the digital IDs. So part of my team members contributed in writing the proposals. Those why don't we use blockchain to be able to store our data and have the digital IDs, in that your identity is placed on an immutable record, and where you go in the world, it's verifiable at an instance that you're a citizen of Kenya. This is your data, and it's safer, and only you have access to your data. So it brought the issue of the digital IDs, but we saw that project was also sabotaged. So we came in. I've also been in the fintech space. The first tokenization license, you can Google it. The Ashara tokens. That is the first organization that has been issued a virtual asset service provider license. I actually worked with the heads. The project is led, is on public domain, is led by John Bindu and Njoki. Those are actually the heads of the Ashara. We've worked closely with those people. Actually, technically, I was part of the mentees that John Bindu was mentoring as part of the tech team, and we were there. We were a team. We built the infrastructure, the the tokenization platform. We presented it to the Capital Markets Authority, CMA, and Yashara tokens was put on Sandbox. So speaking from that perspective, now to answer your question, is a question of rigidity, and this is like planned rigidity, because even as we were presenting to CMA, the panel had only very few young people. So only very few people would speak our conversation. And they are like, no, what these things you are talking, they seems as if it's an impossible conversation. Like, if you tell someone like you can vote at the comfort of your home, what makes you trust that you can be able to send money at the comfort of your home and it will reach in the US, but you cannot be able to vote at the comfort of your home? What makes, so you find is a mindset issue. So one is a mindset issue, two is a knowledge issue, because as Dennis pointed out, every time we talk of empowerment is actually part of my pain point. I was sharing with my senior some times back, is a pain point, because why are you coming in? You want to come and teach me to ride a boda so that I can buy a boda and be carrying people on there.
Well, that's all they know. But you have a lot of graduates and a lot of young people like yourselves there who are connected globally, like the kind of businesses people are now doing, like you're saying, they have digital assets, virtual assets. You run companies online. You don't need even a physical space. And that's when I was asking about resistance, when you want to change, or the understanding or the lack thereof, where your people think this is what you need. So because you are young, you have energy.
Actually,
people are not thinking about brain power.
You look at it is a mindset problem. And you see, this is actually designed both by the government, because we have lack of leaders. If we have true leaders in the IEBC, these are people who will need, let them sit down, let them come on the table, let us even open the code. Let's see the technical implementation. Let them try to understand. People don't want to understand, because you find we will get on a table. Everybody is coming for that meeting for just, the seating allowance. And once they are done with the seating allowance, you are there listening to those young kids, what they are saying, blah, blah, blah. When will Kenya ever move forward if we have that kind of mentality? And I'm saying, through that experience that I've been in that quiet space, that is actually the highest resistance that we've been facing, whereby you find nobody wants to sit down and understand.
So let's talk about now the election, because Ambassador here said, thinking through how you can bring down not just cost, stop bloodshed, create accountability, and bring about trust to this institution. So what is it you have? Is it technology that then will that can be adopted for me as a voter to cast my vote and be sure that my vote counts, and then it's verifiable, and what else? Verifiable and credible, so that at the end of the day, if you're looking at a dispute, because I was just trying to remember the last thing that you'd said about going to the court, spending more money because of election disputes. So this brings all this down. So the cost per voter is 36 bob. So how do I access this? What is this exactly?
Yeah, Dennis, let me give you a snapshot of how it works. Because with your question, I can see you want to understand the process.
Yes.
This is how it works. So what is the normal process? Voter registration. Everybody's registering right now. Then we have the voting.
Some people are.
Some people. Some people are. Okay. Whatever. But voter registration. Then we have the D-Day voting. Where we wake up very early in the morning, go queue, get you get the paint, and after that, the papers are taken. We have issues of dead people voting. We have issues of other papers which were introduced as part of the votes. We have all those kind of issues. Now think of that whole complex systems, and we have all these forms as verification. which are forms that can, be written manually and, be presented to the court as evidence of malpractice or any other thing. So we have all that complexity. Now, this is our own process. I'll just break it down so that you can understand how the blockchain technology actually works. This is it. We have the voter registration. So during the registration process, you will be able, which will be conducted by the IEBC. So you will be able to be verified. You will submit your documents. They'll be scanned. They'll be stored in a decentralized databases. It means that your identity will actually be stored as a digital record that is immutable, cannot be changed. No person can also add into that. It's stored in thousands and thousands of servers. So not a single centralized database.
Kenya doesn't have a good history with servers.
So now I'm redefining the concept of server.
Yeah.
The reason why it doesn't have a good history with servers is because we've been used to centralized servers.
Okay.
So whereby is one server that is in one room that people can poke in, poke out, hack. But this one we are talking of decentralized server.
Okay.
Understand that word, decentralized.
Yeah. It means that we have thousands and thousands and thousands of servers, computers actually, that are interconnected. In that, when you store this record of your ID, there's a ripple effect. It's stored in other multiple.
And duplicity and it's multiplied into other servers. So if I want to hack, I'll need to hack in all those thousands and thousands of servers so that to delete that record. Because even if you, which is impossible, even if you hack into one server and delete that record, or what we call a block, and delete that record, the amount of energy you'll need is next to impossible. So, one, your voter registration process, your documents are taken, they are verified, and then what we are using is the biometrics. So they'll pick a pair of your biometrics. Let's say, for example, your fingerprints, your hand, all pairs of possible biometrics that can be taken. So all those will also be stored on a decentralized server. Now, during that process of voter registration, what happens now is that your digital or your biometrics or those digital identity that are taken from you, they are stored as an immutable. What we generate is you generate an immutable string. Actually, you generate a string that is now patched. We call it a private key. That private key is now patched into the blockchain. So when it's patched into the blockchain, that cannot be hacked. Only your biometrics are now your private keys. So it means only you can access that blockchain address, or you can access that particular block using only your biometrics as the key. That now becomes like your private, like your private key. So we have your public. If you've used wallets before, you understand the concept of your address, your wallet address being your private, your public, key, and then there is a hash that is your private key. So the wallet address, which is now your public key, that is set on the public. You can actually share out that one, and someone can be able to verify. It's actually verifiable that indeed you voted. So that is what is happening. That is what is counting on real time. If you can check on crypto platforms or a platform like TronScan, you can be able to see thousands and thousands of transactions running in real time. Yeah, and you can be able to see those private keys, the addresses, and you can actually be able to verify any address there and see what is happening on that address. It's the same concept. Kibaki, as we talk about that, so you say the only way I can access my account is by using my biometrics, right?
Your biometrics.
My biometrics. So assuming I'm in my house and I want to vote, so how will my biometrics? How will I access my account using my biometrics from my house? Because that would be the question.
On your phone, on your phone, the app is on your phone. Let's say, for example, you'll have an IEBC app. Yeah, the whole system will be probably on an IEBC app. So you'll just get on your phone. Just like the way you use Mpesa, you unlock using your fingerprint. So you can unlock, and then you will be able to enter. So once you enter, you will see the voting interface there. You will be able to vote. Once you make, every vote that you make is patched into the blockchain. Every vote, and that session is closed. If it's the president, you make the vote, is patched into the blockchain, and that session is closed. If it's the MP, you'll choose your own MP. It's patched into the blockchain, and that session is closed. Every session that you're making the vote, that session ends and is patched into the blockchain. So it's recorded in real time in a way that it can't be, it's not immutable. After your voting session, you'll see your results, that these are the people you voted for.
Immediately.
That these are the people you voted for, and then you will see the summary of the other results that are, other people that are voting.
Yeah.
You will see the summaries there, that this is actually what is happening in real time.
Pastor John, my mind is blown, and I'm just trying to look at some stuff here, and that what you're saying in real time, we can actually see, and you can see it for yourself, and so can 50 other million people see it for themselves. You can actually see your vote happening. Right. It is mind-blowing in terms of what transformation could come about as a result of that. But I'm still stuck on, if this idea is out there, if it's in the open, what would be the reason to not say, well, can you guys come and let's get this thing moving today, not tomorrow. No. Let's not wait for the 67 billion that we probably will not even see in its totality. And let's get to a place where we're seeing transparency because of what technology then offers.
Right. Let me ask you a question. What is sad is how I pray. I was advising someone, when you want to change, or rather when you want to change a person, you would never expect that person to think like you. The problem now, and allow me to use this word, when I look at it from your point of view, you desire it, but the problem is you think everyone wants what you
I have been accused of that.
We are living in Africa. It's not, it's like do re mi. You can clearly see what is on the table. First of all, let me ask you a question. If I'm going to use 60 billion, how much of that money is going on procurement? Let's begin there. Who are the people that are procuring? Let's begin there. So someone somewhere is making money out of our illiterate point of view in terms of, or rather our perspective of voting. So then the question should be, what do we need to do to push this to become a reality? Not necessarily that why are people, in terms of the why would someone not be willing? It would depend with what part of the cake is that person eating. We all know that Kenya is run by people at the top. So the question should be, these people seated here at the top, what is part of them in order for them to sit and say, I would want to make this to be part of this particular issue. So if there is a cake to be eaten, and only a few elements are eating that are deciding the way forward, it is obvious that many people would not want to. But the IEBC chair, and I'm saying it publicly because it's true, you needed to have seen the joy on that table, because that day we left with a trajectory of the future. All the lawyers advised him, all the IEBC staff, the commissioners advised him, and we are now looking at pushing it to the next level, which is what? To take it to Parliament, so that it can be brought forth as a bill to see whether Parliament can pass it. And if Parliament does not pass, and I want to say this, Parliament, any person that will oppose such a bill, we will know that you are part of the cake. Because question, 2,000 shillings and 36 bob, even if you are full,
it's a no-brainer.
Does it even make any sense? And lastly, the chairman told us this: Kenyans, stop talking and come and register. I was so shocked to hear that people are not registering. Stop looking at things like Madagascar and Burkina Faso. Those are coups. Coup is not the best way to run a nation. We have an opportunity in a few weeks to come, by the way, a few months to come, to do a free and fair and credible elections. In as much as we are talking online, a president will not be won by a mouth. It can only be won by a vote, assuming a coup is not in place. So please register and vote, young people. This is the best way forward for the nation.
Ambassador John C.W. and Peter Kibaki have joined us this morning, and obviously there's more to be had in this conversation, so we hope it's not the last time you'll be coming to talk to us about this, talk with us about this, and we want to thank you for joining. It is a new dawn, it would appear, not just in blockchain, but other things, of course, for what we're seeing. And so thank you for coming and joining and with us in those insights. Of course, there's a lot more to be able to unpack, and so we'd like to have that conversation with you further in the future, but thank you for being here this morning.